So with a big white disc and presenting their aroma at night, as you look at the nectar that it produces, it's an enormous amount of nectar for a wildflower. You put all that together, and Larry thought, well, this is a set of characteristics of a flower that's pollinated at night. It makes a big thing that glows in the dark with the moon shining on it, right? And he also noted that the anthers are about this far apart, so you want something with a wingspan that'll, when it's hovering over the flower, will brush the wings up against the anthers and pick up a little pollen on the underside of the wing. And then if you'll notice, the little thin female part of the plant coming at the middle, that sticks out even further. So when a moth, he proposes that this is probably a hawk moth pollinated flower, that as it approaches, it bumps into that and transfers pollen. And he spent a few nights looking for a pollinator, but his approach was that of a botanist, not of an entomologist. So I heard one of Larry's early talks about this, where he related a lot of this information. And I did my master's degree on pollination ecology. So I told Larry that evening I was going to try to find a pollinator for him. Larry had spent about 2 or 3, 4 hours, about 5 nights in a row. He spent an hour or two at this one clump that's up in Birmingham. And it's a clump that's the size of this group. And it's not a huge clump. And I decided if you're going to find pollinators, here's where you want to come to look for a pollinator. So I parked over there and paddled over here and started walking around here. And along about midnight, turns out, I saw a little brown blur going from clump to clump to clump. And I took my little bug net and I started across there. And that didn't work very well. So I decided I was going to have to just stand by a clump and hope the pollinator came to it. And sure enough, one did. And we caught the little Plebeian Sphinx moth, or hawk moth. And the hawk, that's exactly what Larry had hypothesized was the pollinator. And it does indeed do everything he thought. It hovers right in front of it. And it has a proboscis about that long that can reach all the way into the throat of the flower, down into here where the nectar is. And if you're interested, you can do this now or you can do this later. We've got some little sort of capillary tubes that if you're very gentle, you can slip that into the flower and collect some of the nectar and have a taste of the Cahaba Lily nectar, which is pleasant. And actually, it's the old flowers that are really spent that have the most nectar that maybe didn't get visited last night or something. So I'm not really worried about stealing nectar from the pollinators. There seems to be quite a lot around. So I caught that thing and pinned it up and gave it to Larry. And he kept it on a shelf until he allowed domestics to eat it up. Again, the move of a botanist, not of an entomologist. Now, Larry, if you've never heard Larry's presentation, he is hysterical. He's brilliant, and you ought to hear. So last Saturday was the Lily Festival, a virtual version of that, and they recorded his presentation, and that should be available pretty soon at cahabalily.com. So if you go there, I imagine you're going to be able to hear Larry do his thing. And he denigrates me. He calls me his evil twin. We have this love. No, he's wonderful. He's a lot of fun. And so I could go on. I could ramble on. If you want to get a little capillary tube and try that here, that's fine. Or we can go on down to the next shoal where it's an even bigger shoal and do it there. That's what I'll suggest you do. So I'm not giving you anything now. What Larry did was go around the countryside finding populations of this. And before it was over, he found something like, he called a shoal like this a population. And there's something like 75 different locations on rivers where he's found these populations. Wow. And the Fish and Wildlife Service has a cutoff of about 50 locations. If you got more than 50, they're not going to list it as an imperiled, endangered species, right? So this is not, in the strictest sense, federally protected. The Department of Conservation says that the bottom of the river belongs to them, and this is on the bottom of the river. So Conservation Department will look very poorly upon you, like harvesting these or doing anything like that. And they have, I think they've issued fines, and they certainly put terror into people for trying to do that. And you can see evidence of where they were harvested where we put in. I'll point that out. The shoal next to that beach where we put in is devoid of lilies. I don't think that was the original condition. That was because yahoos dug them up, put them in their pickup, went to Walmart and sold them.